Oh, hi, everybody.
Oh, hi.
Hello.
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 So, this is a all hands meeting for the 13th of what month is it? Christ.
April.
Yeah, that's the month. Um so let's begin. This is all hands meeting. Reminder that to X up in the chat. I currently have sounds deactivated, so if I miss you, I apologize. But that's mainly because I don't want a whole bunch of sounds on the recording. So X up, I'll try to call on people if you have something to say and that sort of thing. That way we can kind of keep some sort of order in the works. So with me today is, oh, Jesus Christ, a ton of A.C.E.S members. It's good to see everybody. Good to see this many people. Alright, so I think we might as well just go right straight into it. I'm not sure how long this is going to take. The last one took what? Something like 3 hours? Maybe a little bit
Far
less?
too long. Far
Yeah.
too long.
Way
So-
too long.
So we're just going to go right to it. So the first thing on the thing to talk about is roster maintenance. And this is going to be both on our website and in-game. So what that means is this is also going a little bit hand in hand as well with how we're going to change the recruitment process. So as far as roster maintenance, on the website, your privileges and rank will be set to reserve, quote unquote, after 4 weeks of inactivity. And that means, so for those that don't know, if you're an admin on the A.C.E.S website, or actually I think anyone can look it up. You can, if you go to like the roster, you can see when the last time someone signed onto the website is. Like all you have to literally do is check the forms and you won't get put into reserves. So after 4 weeks of not even logging in once or even checking the website once, and if we don't see you in game type of thing, you will be switched to the reserves list. And then if you go another 4 weeks after the reserve, so a total of 8 weeks in activity, 2 weeks without seeing you. Of course, I'm going to put an emphasis on this as well. If you do make a post saying, hey, something's going on, or hey, I'm moving, or something like that, if you're going to let us know that you're going to be absent for a period of time, you won't have to worry. It's one of the things is just if some people just drop off the face of the earth. So after 2 months without any contact at all, we are going to be removing you from the roster because we're going to try to clean things up. There's some people on there I think we haven't seen in probably about 2 years or so, around there.
We've already had one roster cleanup, guys, in the last 6 months. We're going to do another one, as needed, but just to give you guys a heads up that it, will happen. So you have to, as Cattra said, check in every now and then.
And then hopefully once we get the website roster done, if there's anyone that needs to be kind of removed, we will do so in client after that. So we're going to clean up the website first, and then we're going to move that final roster that we come up with into in-game. So if there's any names not matching or anything like that, or I shouldn't say not matching, because I know some people use different names on the forums than they do in the game. Understandable. We're going to just keep the website roster almost hopefully intact as the in-game roster as well. Is there any questions, concerns, anything like that? Just X up now. I'll call. Go ahead.
So, does that mean the special members, like Bombadil and stuff, are we gonna boot them out, or what?
Well, Bombadil I know comes and hops in every now and then. But as for some of the special members, yeah, probably.
Also, how are you gonna check who's active in-game? Since we do tend to
Well,
have different play styles and sessions, times of day and all that.
Oh, definitely. The in-game one's going to be hard to monitor. It's mainly going to be from the roster. Let me give me a second here.
Yeah, if you go on the website and click on see our roster, you can see up to the minute, second when someone has been on the website. And that's how we track primarily our population. So
Check
you
the
won't be.
forums.
Yeah, check the forums.
Like, all you have to literally do is go to the ACES forums, hit form, that's it. Or I don't even think that, you just have to go to the website as long as you're logged in.
Yeah.
And as for the in-game guys, we can tell if you've been in-game, recently playing because your little icon, the faction icon next to your name, if it's not the same as it is for everyone else in the unit, that tells us you haven't been logged in a while. Because even if you aren't playing CW, if you log in, it will change and update that icon. So we know that you have not been in if we see that still in a generic, Atlas silhouette form from like Mercenary Lone Wolf. If that's there, we know that you have not logged in since the contract has been signed to a whatever faction we are currently in. So that could tell us you haven't been in a day, or it could tell us that you haven't been in 2 weeks, depending on what the newest contract is and when it was signed.
Okay.
I guess next topic.
Alrighty, next topic, kind of touched on a little bit before, recruitment. Typhus or Tierkron, do you guys want to take this one?
Yeah, I can handle this one. Basically, guys, we heard your complaints about some of the recruiting that's been going on lately, some of the applicants that have been coming in, and part of that is our own fault because we relaxed standards a little bit when we were getting flooded with applicants back in December and the beginning of January. We're now going to tighten the requirements back up. And what this means is currently the voting process is 5 votes or 2 weeks with a number of positive votes. We're tightening it up to be a minimum of 7 positive votes and 2 weeks that the application has to have been in by. So that gives us plenty of time to see if this person actually stays around, is active. If you are dropping with them and voting on them, you don't have to vote right away. You can do it after the second or third time you meet up with the person. We are also going to throw in there a Vanguard Maverick unit leader vote as an extra to basically put confirmation on someone on top of the 7 votes, that if they get that, then we know that this person has at least someone, some competence to them. We are going to stress a little bit more about skill level. I know we've had a couple of nice guys, put in applications that are, the person is though incredibly green. Either they don't have any mechs whatsoever, or they only have 1 or 2 and they don't really know how to play them. That's not really the type of person we're looking for. We need, Aces isn't, adverse to new players, but we do want people that have at least competence to their skills. People that we're not taking from they just loaded the game earlier that week. Destructive, you have a question?
Destructive. Really?
Okay, short bus. Oh
No.
wait,
Am I not working?
now
You are now.
Oh, all right. Well, he said something when he started about checking people off or the other when you drop with them. I would advise against doing it the first time you drop with them. Wait, drop a couple of days in a row, 2 or 3 days, something like that. Get a better cross section of the guy you're talking to. Manny ran into that firsthand, and
Yeah. Which is fine.
under the bridge at this point. But it just goes to show that what you see initially is them trying to get into a unit. don't let that be what makes your vote. Make sure they are someone you enjoy, not somebody that is being a tryhard to get into aces. Just wait 2 or 3 days, like get a good cross section. Don't jump on the vote the day he shows up.
That said, guys, don't don't think once you make a vote that it's locked in. You can always go back and change your vote or add comments to your vote on the person's application. We have had in the past, someone does a couple good drops with the person. They put up the positive vote saying, yeah, I think this person's great. Then 2 weeks, 2 days later, they go back and they change it because suddenly they saw something that really stuck out to them that they hadn't seen before, or something that is just unforgivable, for an ACES applicant. For example, we had a person put in an application. They had good skills. They were somewhat decent on comms. We thought they were a good fit. And then there was an incident where they basically just flew off the hook and just bombed the in-game chat with profanities, and that just wasn't
Unacceptable.
So, never think that once you cast your vote, it's locked in. You can always go back and change it. You can always add more onto your comments. It's there for you to express your feelings on a person. And that said, we do want to know what your feelings are. We don't want, just a 1 or 2 words of this guy's nice or good player. We want to know what you think. What do you think of their abilities to use the comms correctly? What do you think of, their ability to pilot, various classes of mech? You know, what do you think of their gunnery skills? What do you think of their ability to follow orders? Do they argue with the person that's drop calling? Do they get in line? Do they ask pertinent questions? When they ask questions and they get answers, do they accept them? Do they ask for more information so they can have a better understanding? Keep these things in your mind as you drop with people.
Basically, when you vote, and we'll do short bus and poo in just a second for the voting thing. When you vote on somebody +1 or -1, it is required that you play with them. There's a couple times that people have said outright that they haven't played with this person. They just don't like something about them. That vote won't be counted. And you have to give reasons why. I have a lot of people that are just saying, yeah, he's cool, +1. It's not going to work anymore. That vote won't be counted either. So, go ahead, Short Bus. What was your question on the voting?
All right, it's going to be a quick, easy two-part. Although I'm totally game on us being a little more strict on greens, I really hope that there's a way that we can make sure that they're aware that we want them to stick around so that we can assess whether they're looking for a clan or if they're really adamant about joining ACES. I really hope that we can make sure that they know we want them to stick around. The other part is maybe there can be a way to just simply delete comments that aren't pertinent. If you're talking about quite a few different instances where things aren't pertinent, we should just weed through those and delete them.
Applications are records for people. Occasionally, we need to go back and look at people's applications.
My apologies. I meant like cool guy +1. We should just let the person know that that's not what we're looking for as a vote. Delete the vote and then ask them to revote.
Okay, that can be considered. Pooh?
I just want to say, it seems like sometimes you see a lot of votes where they say the exact same thing as the person before them. So if you don't know, if you're not sure about a person, just don't vote. Like, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Destructive.
Building off what Short said the last couple weeks, I agree. We do need to clean up some of the applications. I personally have been using them as a bit of a soapbox recently. I've been in the applications specifically because I know the people that are voting are going to see it there rather than opening a new thread somewhere else. But I'm sure a couple of you guys up top have noticed it. But when the applications get moved into the archive, we can definitely get rid of all the chit chat and the bullshit good guy +1, good guy -1, all that crap. Like, get rid of the stuff without substance. I'm in agreement with Short on that one.
Then it will be done. Joan.
Something that came across my mind as a short bus was going through what he was thinking. What about recording the matches that you play? Because I know that somebody had mentioned this before, and I really haven't been seeing people to do that. So, recording the matches, if we do we put them on like a private channel on YouTube or what?
I'll pipe up here. The hardest thing with that is hard drive space. For those who don't know, people who record, files are absolutely gigantic.
Yes, they are.
So for doing something like that, you would need an absolute, basically something just huge to host all the files in. Second of all, I know it sounds like a really good idea, and it does sound like a really good idea. I think it's just too much of a hassle to go about. Personally, just speaking for someone who does a lot of recording and stuff like that, I think it would be just way too much work to go into, as well as hard drive space for it to be a practical thing to do.
Yeah,
We've
if
got-
I might pipe in. I mean, and what's one match with a guy going to show you? Maybe, yeah, that was a really good one, but just watching a guy during a single match isn't gonna show you anything unless you catch him doing something like especially really bad. It might help in that case, but I just don't think you can get much out of a single match.
There's also the logistics issue, guys, of you have to have people that are actually doing it, that are recording, and it has to be across the board. I mean, we have right now in chat 24 aces. To properly vet a person that's applying, that's dropping with aces, to have recordings of them, we would need almost every other member of aces to do those recordings. We just don't have enough people that are set up to do that. It's a good idea, but
You
as
guys can buy
Cattra
me a
said,
computer if you want.
but
Alright.
so there's the issue of one, we would have to have more people, basically at least half of the unit set up to record in order to have the people out there that will potentially drop with that person at whatever time to be able to record. And then there's the logistical issue that Cattra raised of recordings do take up a lot of space. You don't think they do if you watch Twitch or watch YouTube and you look at the size. If you download them, that's because those videos have undergone some compression. If you've ever done any recording or streaming and have saved those files, you realize they take up a lot more space in those original formats.
We're getting kind of long-winded on this topic. I have one more thing, and then we'll move on. So we've covered the voting. Con said it pretty plain. After someone is voted in to aces, they become jokers. Everybody knows that. During their probationary period, they will be watched more closely by the Mavericks, Vanguards, and unit leaders. People tend to change real fast, and we'll be watching for that. Probationary period is exactly what that means. That is going to become more strict.
Before we move on, Kylerian, you had something you wanted to say?
Yeah, actually, it touches on a couple of the points you guys just made. So I actually support doing screenshots of matches that you were in with folks. Seems like a reasonable idea. What kind of numbers would we want people to be putting out for those sorts of things? And as far as like the probationary period and being a joker and that sort of thing, is how often do you guys usually cycle through and look for people to go from joker to jack?
Let's start with the second part first.
Sure.
Joker, the probationary period as it stands is a minimum of 2 weeks. Now this can be extended by the unit leaders to that person if we aren't sure, we have conflicting reports and conflicting accounts of how they've been acting, how they've been handling drops with other ACES members. We can always give them a little more time, see how they handle things, and we'll make a decision to extend based on that. During the minimum 2 weeks, we're looking for people to basically, be following the unit, rules, being adherence to the unit etiquette. We don't want people swearing profusely, at pugs. Yeah, you can do it privately, but in public, you should be, watching what you say. Uh, Sexual, discriminatory, racist remarks, those are definite no-nos. In fact, the etiquette policy, says they are against our policy here in ACES. So if you are caught doing those, you will be put up for review by the unit leaders and probably warned. If you continue to do so after you've been warned, you can face dismissal. So when we're looking at jokers, we're looking at attitude, we're looking at how they adhere to what the rules are, and we are also looking at skills. Is this person not that we're not expecting someone to immediately jump to a top tier player, but we are expecting people to put in efforts, to get better, to learn from each other, to ask questions, to use the resources available to them, to ask more ACES members that they meet, oh, you're running the Thunderbolt 5 SS. Why do you run that? Oh, it's because of the medium pulse lasers. How do I set that up? Things like that, basic things. If they already know that, how do I get better with a Gauss rifle? Anything that shows us that they are making an effort to integrate into the unit and to better themselves as part of the unit, to strengthen the unit, those are definite pluses for us. Going back to the first part, though, Kylian, the screenshots, yes, I would encourage people to take screenshots of the applicants as you drop with them. However, the problem with screenshots are they don't give us a full picture. Someone has a bad night, they drop in their direwolf, they get a little bit out of position, and they get swarmed by lights. They do maybe 100 damage before they go down. From a screenshot, that looks horrible. That looks absolutely horrible. But from a recording or for someone telling us, yeah, they kind of got caught out by 3 Firestarter A's. It just happened. That's understandable. So screenshots, if you guys post a screenshot, try to give us some context of what was going on in the match. What did you do? What did the person who's the applicant do? Did you see something that was a concern, or did you see something that really impressed you? Tell us. Don't just give us a screenshot and have us try to figure out what the hell it means.
Okay.
Thanks.
So, let's go to another topic so we don't look at another hour and a half meeting. Cattra?
All right. So we're also incorporating, well, not really incorporating, but expanding on some of the ranks. Of course, we've always had the Mavericks and the Vanguards, except for we never had a real kind of solid definition type of thing for them. They were kind of just there. And the people that were in it kind of knew what we expected from them, but no one else really. If you weren't a Vanguard, you didn't really know what the Vanguards were there for. I think that's safe to say. So we're going to actually kind of come down with an actual public information about what the two are. So of course there's the Mavericks. Now the Mavericks are any long-standing member of ACES, this is probably from 2012 and early 2013, and these people are still active in the game and on the forums. You're not giving it really any special privileges or that sort of thing, but it's just sort of as a recognition for long-standing dedicated members and that sort of thing. The Vanguards, though, these are members of ACES that have demonstrated initiative, and they compete or they take the lead as drop commanders, and they want to have the ability to teach others and explain more difficult aspects of MWO. They are expected to enforce the ACES Code of Conduct and follow that in both in-game in any public forums, such as the MechWarrior Online website, as well as their own forums. And they're basically expected to be the quote-unquote more experienced foot soldiers of ACES, but that doesn't give them more or less a standing to be dick to other ACES members. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. Any questions about these two ranks, the Maverick and the Vanguard? X up if you can.
I think Rush had a question.
Oh, go ahead.
I got no, I don't have no question. I mean, I read the forums. It's all there.
All right.
I mean,
I
that's
think
always been my opinion. I mean, if you need your hand held for something like that, then you don't deserve the tag. You get a Vanguard tag, you should know what a Vanguard is.
Agreed, Rush.
Fact.
I mean,
Fact
why
of the man
are we
right
taking
there.
5-10 minutes to sugarcoat it all?
Exactly.
so. Each rank now has its own private forum and boards to converse with others in that respective area. Typhus and Tierkron, Iron, is there anything else they should be aware of?
Well, one thing, and it's supposed to be in there. If it's not, then you'll hear it from me and we'll correct it. Vanguards vote their own peers in. In the past few months, half a year maybe, unit leaders have been making recommendations for Vanguards. That will stop. Vanguards are not to weigh in on Vanguard recommendations. So the only way that we will have more Vanguards is if the Vanguards vote them in. That's it. That's all I had to say. Next topic.
Before we move on, Vanguards, it should go without saying, but you are expected, at some point or other to get tapped by a unit leader to, help out with, things in ACES. An example was the ACES tournament when that, was getting set up and getting organized. Vanguards are, the little helper elves that, we need, basically to organize, the rest of the rank and file membership, to help, get teams together, to help get practices going, to help, get in contact with other people. So those will change as needed, but don't be, if you accept a Vanguard tag, have the understanding that there will be times where you will be called upon to, help out with unit run events or specific ACES duties that you may not have originally signed up for. And it's completely acceptable for you to go, I have no idea what that is. I have no idea how to do that. I'm uncomfortable doing so. maybe can you come back to me at a later time and I will help you out with something else. I know Destructive is just learning with streaming, and he was trying to learn to stream for the Aces tournament. Didn't go through exactly as he had hoped, but he made the effort. Next time he'll
just real life took some precedence there. Girlfriend wrecked a car and a bunch of shit like that. But I'm still working on it, guys.
Yeah. So it would have been perfectly acceptable for him to turn around and go, yeah, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing when it comes to streaming. I cannot do it whatsoever. But he stepped up and said, I will at least try. We kind of expect that from Vanguards, but there are times that you can say no. You are only human. We cannot expect miracles from you. So, just for informative purposes to Vanguards, you can always say no if something is asked of you that you are uncomfortable with.
Any other questions, and I'll move on.
Yeah, why is my name getting thrown around for server admin?
It's because we love you.
know.
I dig it.
I mean, if I have it, I feel like you probably should.
Well,
Right.
if anybody, I think, who is going to be doing a lot of streaming is probably going to want it, just because you got trolls who love to jump into channels and screw with people who are streaming. That's how I ended up asking for server admin, is because it just happened a couple times back when I was streaming, and I just needed that power to be able to boot people, pretty much. Didn't happen very often, but it did happen.
Yeah.
All right, I
Ban
just,
him.
Channels and such.
Oh.
I just looked up and I saw the chat. I'm like, wait, what? Sorry.
Yeah, that's a topic for another time, because I don't know, Cattra, you might be able to speak to it. I think we're limited on how many people we can actually give server admin powers to. But without
I think so, yeah. I'll have to look into that some more. But on the same topic as streaming and stuff like that, if any of you guys have old Twitch keys for the Aces account, let someone know, because we got new ones because of that whole Twitch fiasco, and then we had to go change a bunch of stuff, and then it's like if you change this in order to reactivate your account, because if you didn't know, they deactivated every account on Twitch. So we had to reactivate our account using links and stuff, and they're like, okay, now that you reactivated your account, all your stream keys that you used to have are no longer valid. Here's a new one. So we now have all new stream keys, so we're gonna have to let people know what the new keys are. So yeah, so if you have the old stream key, let someone know. For the unit leaders and stuff like that, who usually hand out the stream keys and whatnot, I just updated the opening post with all our social media information. So the key that's listed on that opening post is the proper one. Alright, so we'll move on. I just want to bring a few things to cover from last ACES meeting back in February. Just an update on some of the things there. The ACES video series, for people who do not know, that was an idea I had to get something out and made that was to kind of help people learn the things about MechWarrior Online as far as tactics and that sort of thing. As far as my involvement, I will probably have to put a pause on that. I just simply don't have the time. For those that do or do not know, my work schedule has been absolutely insane the past little bit, and I have no idea why. My last pay stub had me at 105 hours for the past 2 weeks. So I just simply do not have the time right now to sit down and dedicate, like, it was more or less get up, go to work, come home, sleep, get up, go to, that sort of thing. It was just, I didn't play hardly any games at all. So that's going to be on pause unless, but that being said, if anyone on here, any ACES member wants to start doing videos or anything like that, I fully support them and I will encourage them greatly to do so.
I
As
nominate
far
Bucket.
as well from the last meeting, the A.C.E.S podcast, we are still doing that. Of course, this being a supplement in the time spot in which we would normally do that. I think last week's episode went for an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes.
Yeah, we had
a
an
long
extra
ass
long
time.
one.
It was a good podcast, though. I think a lot of people hopefully enjoyed it. As far as things that we could change or improve to it, it was suggested that SoundCloud or other things like that be utilized. I attempted to utilize those things, except for they want money, which I simply am probably not going to pay for, because they only limit. Yeah, that's pretty much what I said. I started uploading them, and I'm like, okay, there should be no problem. Then they only got about halfway upload, and they're like, in order to upload a file bigger than this, we need like $30-some, and it's like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that a month. So that's the situation on that. So we'll probably just continue utilizing YouTube because they just simply don't care how long your videos are. I apologize for people who actually I'm not sure if Mega has a limit or not, but I could always just upload the raw MP3s to Mega and put the link in the description of the YouTube videos or something like that. Joan, go ahead.
I was wondering if we could set up a SoundCloud ISK type system on the A.C.E.S website.
I'm not too sure about that. Might be something we'd have to look into, but that is a possibility, yeah.
Because then we can keep it on our website and not on a third party system. So,
Well,
I don't know.
I keep them all on my hard drive anyway, so. But the problem with SoundCloud is, like I said, I'd have to go in and split them into like one podcast at an hour. I'd have to split into like, I think the limit was 20-minute segments, so I'd have to upload them like it would be part 1 of 5 for every single episode unless I want to actually spend money, which I don't want to do.
So again, put it on the A.C.E.S website, store it on,
and host them from there.
Yeah.
Something I could look into. I'm not sure what our actual website space as far as like data is. I know I'll have to talk to Darren about that sort of thing.
Yeah, Adam might know, but Sinister actually also might know, at least logistically how to do it, because I know he was playing around with the structure, but in terms of the actual capacity and ability, yeah, Darren and Adam would be the better ones to ask. Cattra.
Well, all of this recording and streaming and putting things up on the website can be talked about individually with Cattra once he gets the information. Shall we get to the next topic?
Sure. I believe the next topic was so for those who may or may not know, we haven't gone to play with the clans in Community Warfare for a little bit. And there is actually a reason behind this. More or less, we didn't the week or two that we were there, it wasn't as fun. I guess would be the buzzword I would throw out. People started not taking part. We've had better turnout and more users engaged since we've been in the inner sphere, and I think overall it's better if we stay in the inner sphere. We did have a agreement with a clan group.
Smoke Adders.
Yeah, the Smoke Adders. If people wanted to go play clan, they would go play with them, and you would not lose your aces position or anything like that. It was just something if you wanted to play clans, because we know people spent money on clan stuff, so unless you're playing in the pug queue in Community Warfare, if you wanted to play with your clan stuff, I mean, by all means, you should be able to if you wanted to for a week or two, but no one took advantage of this. So is that still standing, that agreement, or
the agreement is still kind of there? It's just Smoke Adders have also seen a large fall off in their numbers of active players recently, so it's hard getting in contact with them. Shim's probably the best one to ask, if we want to get in contact with him. He has the best relation with their leadership.
Just so everybody knows, we'll get this out of the way now. We're not going to go clans as a unit. We are Inner Sphere. We will fight for anybody in Inner Sphere, but we will not fight for the clans. If you want to use your clan mix in community warfare, like Cattra just said, it's cool. We can find somebody that we're on good terms with that you can go and play with. We have not spoken or offered that in the past, 3 months, because nobody wanted to go and do that when we had the option. Go ahead, Rush.
Is that even the fact if the vote, the bi-weekly vote goes for clans?
It won't be an option on the vote.
Okay, well, I think then, just to be fair for new recruits, you guys need to put that in the recruitment email for people that are joining just for CW. Because pretty much now, just applicants are just joining for CW, and when they join the unit and they find out they are never going to be able to play clans in the unit, they may not want to join.
Yeah, a recruitment statement that goes out to new applicants needs to be updated. We've been saying that for a long damn time. Do we know how to change that? Finn, Cattra?
No, I have no idea how to access that.
I have an inkling on how to do it. Adam showed me after the last all hands.
You make Adam do it.
I mean, Adam's good at it. But it does need to change. We need to make changes to it drastically, immediately. Go ahead, Alilua.
So are we gonna go ahead and drop the democratic idea of running aces?
No.
That's a good point, because I've heard from a few people that the voting for where our next contract is has not been what it's supposed to be as of late. Still be democratic. That's what I want. But
Well, I really don't think we should be restricting voting choices and denying people's votes on both applicants and what they want to do in CW if we want to remain democratic.
They're not restricting votes on applications, just making them slightly more strict.
Well, when you say someone's vote's not good enough, that's
No,
restricting
nobody
it.
said someone's vote's not good enough. They said that what they were saying with their vote is not inclusive and I don't know
And
what I'm looking for.
their vote would get tossed out. Yeah, we need to either
No,
still include the vote.
The rules of how to comment on an application, then that comment won't be accepted. It's got nothing to do with who it is.
And
No, it's not that. But I
declare-
really think we need to, still count the votes, but ask that they.
You can vote,
add
but the
more.
options will be limited.
Okay, Alilia, on applications, votes will not be ever deleted if there is a vote that we think that a person, did not adhere to the rules of, what we expect a vote to include, the plus or minus one plus their reasoning. They will be messaged to, go back and to include the parts that they might have left off. We're not going to lose any, we're not going to delete anything from there. However, when it comes to finally tally up, if that person's vote does not fall within the regulations, that vote probably won't be added into the weight of it. Someone just writing on an application -1 without giving us anything, that, we can't put that into the vote there because we don't know what that -1's about. We don't know, was it their attitude? Was it their skill level?
Right, because how would that be fair to the applicant? You know what I mean? You got to give at least some reason why you like or don't like the guy to make it fair to the applicant.
Yeah, but as we will never delete something from a thread, be it an applicant's application or any other thread, unless it is in either we are asked by the person who made the comment to delete it, or if it is just completely unpertinent to the, you know, the conversation being, you know, in that thread, or should it violate, you know, certain policy, you know, where, you know, someone in an application thread goes off the handle and just makes out a, you know, diatribe of who knows what, you know, swearing, racist comments, you know, that, yeah, that we would erase. We would not have that up there. But any general vote, you know, so long as it's, you know, within the etiquette of the unit. But if it doesn't fall within the actual voting rules, we would contact that person and say, hey, you need to give us something more than what you did in order for your vote to be completely counted when total tallying time comes up.
Okay, we talked about that earlier, and now we're just beating a dead horse. As for, you know, faction voting, I don't see how excluding clans rules us out as having a democratic system. I know for a lot of the new guys, since A.C.E.S is bigger, word doesn't go around as much as it used to. But A.C.E.S has always said, it's always been that we will be inner sphere mercenaries. Well, that's fine. Some of you want to play clans. That's great. We can again find ways for you to do that. But A.C.E.S as a whole will not be doing so. I'm sorry if that makes people unhappy. When we were in clans for 2 weeks, there were like the last 4 or 5 days we couldn't play CW because we didn't have 12 people. People would not show up to play. A lot of the people that said they were going to play didn't show up. And we got really lazy. And playing Shadowhawk, Stormcrows, and Timber Wolves all day long, that's boring. A lot of people were saying that.
However, I will put this caveat in, guys. If there are enough ACES members that want to play clans that, you know, don't want to go to a different unit, they want ACES to do it. If you guys can organize and show us that you are serious about doing it, that you're going to participate, that you're going to show up, and, you know, we're not going to be sitting up there for, you know, a week or 2 weeks banging our heads against a wall going, why the hell isn't anyone here? Then yes, we will consider it, you know, and we might do something like we did last time when we went to Ghost Bear for a week, and which got extended, which was a mistake. But, you know, you have to basically show us, you have to, you know, that going clan for a week is worth our time and effort. It's not going to just be, yeah, we're going to go clan for a week and, you know, that's it. You know, you have to put some of the onus on yourselves to you know, convince us that this is something that's worthwhile to actually do. And it's not going to be, you know, from the leadership to create it. It has to be it has to be basically a grassroots movement. You guys have to, you know, show us that you are serious about it and that you are willing to do so.
A thread can be made about this. Yeah, go ahead, John.
The main thing that I was wanting to know is, since we're going to be primarily an inner sphere mercenary group, and say as if we have a contract with, say, I don't know, Merrick for example, if I wanted to run clan, how exactly would that work, especially since I would be in the same contract that ACES is in?
The way it works and the way we had the agreement set up with Cattra, Joan, was when if there were a group of aces that wanted to play clan, you know, for a week, basically when we would go to re-sign a contract or to make our next contract, when that would happen, they would leave the unit in game and they would go up and join Smoke Adder for that week. In game, they would be listed as Smoke Adder instead of Aces for the week, but they would still technically be a member of Aces.
Okay.
The way it works now with faction grouping, you wouldn't have to necessarily join Smoke Adder. You could just stay, a lone wolf and just sign, individually your week-long contract and then come back. But, to break from the unit, I would definitely say if you wanted to do that, if that was an option you wanted to pursue, you probably should wait till, when we go to re-sign the contract, so that way you don't incur a C-bill penalty. I'm not sure exactly how much it is for when you leave a unit, or I don't actually there might not be a C-bill penalty. I think it might just be a 24-hour penalty. And if you leave the unit while it's still under contract, you are still beholden to that contract even during that 24-hour period. If you decide to break the contract, that's when the C-bills get incorporated into the issue.
Okay.
Okay, so
All right, am I good to go?
go ahead, Short Bus. Yes.
So what it means to me is you got less people that will apply if you're doing this, which means that also on the flip side, people might leave. This is of course referencing to clans, but less applicants, more people may leave. But I also feel like if we go clan, we could lose the progress we've made and just simply reverse it. So I think that all should be taken into account too.
Yes, in a way, short. To your points, we have had a couple people leave Aces in the last couple months because of we hadn't gone clan in a long while, and there wasn't a big emphasis on Aces going back to the clans. We explained to them that the votes had tended to be I.S. in that we weren't looking to go back to the clans because people basically stopped playing after a week of being up in the clans. The issue though with people not showing up and not applying to it, well, that can cut the other way. We could have people that want to play clans that don't want to play IS. They're not going to show up. So we can't please everyone. We're going to try to do what we can to make people get involved. But when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, it really is the onus is on you guys as members to tell us what you want to do.
All right, so if we're talking about taking out of the options for votes, that's one thing. But if we leave it in the voting option and you have a majority vote to go clan, don't you think they would actually play?
We had that
how it
happen
worked out in the
last time.
past.
It didn't work last time.
Yeah, it's
No, I just
exactly
said
not what happened.
Sure.
we had an overwhelming vote. We had an overwhelming vote. It was like 20 plus people voted for clans.
It was almost 3-1, all factions versus clans, and clans
We were
won,
asked
and
to
then
go
like
clan though. Like you
and then
guys
like
were
8
pushing
people
it that
showed up.
time.
That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't need to sway your vote. Like your vote is your vote. Just because we, as other aces, want to do something doesn't mean you have to follow us. Like it's not a peer pressure deal here.
Usually when the vote goes up, guys, it's either myself or Shim that are putting it up. When I put up a vote, I basically give you the lay of the land of what the fights are like in each faction to tell you, what's going on, to try to give you as much information as I can so that you can make an informed decision, so that you're not all going, well, let's go down to Liao because look, they're kicking the shit out of Davian. Yeah, they're kicking the shit out of Davian, but it's only TCAF doing it because they're dropping unopposed during European time, and every other time really nothing's happening. So unless you want to do turret drops, I'll tell you that. I'll tell you, yeah, there's really nothing down there except turret drops. You still want to do that? You go right ahead. You can make that, vote and cast it, and if everyone agrees with you, yeah, we'll go down there and I'll suffer for a week. But whenever a vote comes up, and if I'm the one structuring it, I am not going to try to sway you one way or the other. I will give you the basic information that I have access to. If you want further information, you are more than free to ask me about it. I will give you, my opinion as an individual player, and I will give you my opinion as a leader here in ACES. But if you are not, swayed by that, if you still think you want to do something else, you vote the way you think, is best in your interest, in the best interest of ACES. If people agree with you, that's what we'll end up doing. If, people agree for something else, we'll end up doing that. That's the way it's worked in the past. That's the way it's going to continue to work. As I said, if a majority of you show interest in the clans, we'll take it into consideration, and there'll probably be another vote, a secondary vote, basically to say, okay, you guys want to go clans. How many of you are actually going to show up, and show up at least a majority of the time we're there. If we're there for a week, we're talking 3 to 4 nights of that week, and if it's not an overwhelming number of people, yeah, it's probably not going to happen. But I'm not going to say we're going to rule anything out completely, because that's unfair to you guys, but there will be some restrictions in senses on it.
I think we should move on.
Well, let's give Raven and who's board decisions.
It's Manny.
That's Manny.
I'll be quick. I just thought that other motivations for people playing clans, we don't want to drop it completely. You don't have a contract, that's fine. But for competitive purposes, playing in tournaments, you want to have your clan mechs ready to go. And if you need time to practice, ACES can have a clan night or two. ACES can make a separate unit that we know that you're allowed to transfer back and forth. If you want to play clans for a month, fine. ACES has something set up for you to do that, but just don't drop it all together. Give an outlet for people who want to do clans. We just can't take the contract. There's other things we can do.
Okay, Manny.
Just some quick feedback. I've heard a couple of people mention that they don't bother voting at all because to them it seems like a couple people who vote always end up having the majority vote go their way anyway. I don't know I'm not bringing in any suggestions, unfortunately. I don't know how to handle it. I just want to mention that some people don't actually bother voting because they don't feel like their vote is worth it, or that it doesn't matter how they vote, the majority is always going to side with somebody else, or one or two other people, like you were talking about earlier. So I've actually the only reason I'm saying something is recently I've heard two separate conversations between other people in channel casually mention the same thing, that I don't bother voting because it always goes so and so's way anyway. So why should I get involved or read or know what's going on? I don't know. I don't
Well-
really have any suggestions on how to handle it, but just a comment.
Well, to
Here's
that
a
I would
suggestion as
say,
to how to handle it. Vote. Just vote.
Yeah, I agree.
That's all you can do. Vote. If you don't like the way things go, vote.
put up your, and don't just vote. Put up your reasoning. Tell, a lot of people, when they cast their vote, explain in the thread why they voted a certain way. Use the forums. Make your case. Convince people. You might not get it that first time, but you might get it the second time. So, all you can, as the instructor said, vote, and as I said, explain yourself, convince people. Grassroots that stuff. Get in there. Talk to people in TS. Talk to them via PMs. Find others that share your opinion. Make your own little effort to convince us that that's the way we should go for a week or for 2 weeks.
Carillion, hit the nail on the head. I'll state that most important aspect of CW votes is ensuring we have motivated drop callers. Yes, the vote usually goes towards the drop caller. If TierCon or Shim, and on the very rare occasion that I vote, if we vote somewhere, people follow our vote. They line vote because we're calling the drops. If you really want to change that, if you really want people to do that for you, then step up and drop call.
On that, I don't think it really matters where we go. The guys that are predominantly calling Typhus, Tychron, Shimmering Sword, they're gonna call the same way regardless of what banners we're flying. Like,
Yeah.
they don't care about who we're fighting for, just so that we're fighting. Like, that is what their goal is to find us fights so that we're not dropping turrets all the time.
Yep. The only time, guys, that I'll say this for Shim and myself, that we will change our drop calling methods is, basically just to change tactics, in the face of, who we're facing, what we're facing, and what planet we are on, or what battlefield we're fighting on. If we go clans, yeah, we're probably going to drop call a little differently because we can't do things the same way that we can in the inner sphere, and vice versa. So depending on what the situation is, the drop calling will be altered, but we will always be there to drop call if we're able to. We're never gonna say, oh, you guys decided to go to Liao, guess what, I'm not showing up for a week, good luck. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. We'll be there, we'll suffer through it. I'll probably harangue a couple of you for making a poor decision like that, but it'll be all in good fun in that sense.
Don't drag me into this.
Okay, so next topic.
That is actually all I have written down for topics. Do you guys, do you unit leaders, have anything else you want to add on?
Not me.
Tiergron?
I'm good. I was going to suggest, we open it up to membership.
Yep. If these meetings are going to be an hour and a half, then fine. We're at an hour already. How about let's cut this meeting off at an hour and a half and give another half an hour for everybody else to talk about stuff. So if you have a subject that you want talked about, answers to, please X up. We will try to get to as many in a half an hour. Rico, yes.
I just want to say that I would like to get a group together for the MRVC. There is a post up on the forums if you have not seen it yet. We have a bare minimum roster, but I would certainly like to have a little more padding. If you are not signed up, you do not get to play at all in the whole season.
On that, Rico, I'm really going to try to be there for that. I know I haven't posted. Work's been really shitty lately. Long hours, but yeah, we need to get people in MRBC. I think that's pretty important. Yeah, actually, we need to get aces in every thing if we can.
For those who don't know what it is a competitive league. There are restrictions and structured matches similar to what we did for the A.C.E.S tournament. With, you get so many lights and mediums, no duplicates, things like that.
Is there a special place in our forums to go and read about it?
Competitive
yes. Rico, would you please post that to
I got it already.
TS? Okay. Yes, please, everybody read that. Like Rico said, it is going to be competitive, very competitive. A lot will be expected of you.
So all of you, people in ACES that have been saying, I want to be more competitive, I want ACES to be more competitive, this is a perfect, opportunity for you. Have at it. Rico has taken it upon herself to start the organizing of it and to get things rolling, to, put our name forward. Support her in this. If you want us to be, if you want ACES to be competitive, go. Get on her thread, sign up, show her that you're going to be there, help her, put things together, work with her. This is your opportunity. John,
When's it?
was there a question before,
Just when's the deadline?
Rico? Do you know?
They have not announced when the next season will be starting yet. Some of them might be kind of waiting to see how Major League MechWarrior wraps up. So the deadline is not known yet.
Thank you.
All right, Joan.
Kind of an off-topic topic. I don't know exactly how else to say it. I was wondering what other games besides MechWarrior Online everybody plays, because I know a lot of people can get like burnt out on a MechWarrior, and well, I mean, is there any other games that A.C.E.S plays that can, change up for a bit?
There are a dozen different games.
Or Steam form.
Yeah, Steam. Good example. I think a lot of aces are not in the Steam group.
No, and it's impossible to get to. Is it Cattra and Mecha? Okay.
Cattra and Mecha.
We can open up again if we want.
There are a couple of us.
Give me 1 second here. Let
We
me
should-
open it up right now.
You should just make it open instead of invitational.
I'm in it,
No.
and
No, the whole point was we're supposed to invite people, but we basically been doing is just opening up every so and so, letting people in.
If you go to the group, guys, there are a number of people that are listed as moderators. I'm one of them. I started the Steam thread on the forums. You can email, message me in Steam. I check my Steam at least every other day. If you message me, and put up a message in the Steam, thread on the forums saying, who you are in Steam. If you are not using the same name as in MWO, I will look for that name in that message. I will make sure you get added.
So how do we go about finding the group on Steam? Like, what do I search for?
Hold on.
I just linked it.
It's in the forums.
But there's all kinds of games we can play. We had about a dozen people playing PlanetSide 2 at one time, and we wrecked face.
I love that game. I used to.
If people don't know, Iron is a old tanker from PS1, and we would wreck face. My times playing PS2 with Iron and Mecha and Satex, Shadowbane, good times. We would easily do 2-to-1 kill rates on tanks. We played Company of Heroes 2 for a long time. Good stuff.
I played those. I heard they changed it a lot recently, but I just stopped playing.
There's Diablo 3. We played that for a couple months. That was really fun. Yeah, there are other games that Aces will play and can play. And I personally encourage it. I would love to do that, to just break the mold.
All right, I think Rush had something next.
First, that I just posted the link up to the Steam thread, guys. I will make sure that actually gets posted some, stickied. But
Rush,
Promoting, come to practice night, Friday nights assault training.
Sweet.
We had a good turnout
Did you
last
say
week.
Friday?
We had a good turnout last week. It's posted in the forums. You can go look it up yourself.
Yeah,
Good
no, I'm
turnout.
aware. I just knew it said Monday, so now we're on Friday.
Yes, it's been Friday. It's all in the thread. But good improvement from players that started in just in one practice. Good improvement in the players that were there, that came to learn something.
do me a favor, Rush. Do me a favor, Rush, and put that in TS. I know that it's supposed to be people's own business to read the forums, but just bear
Well,
with me.
the whole point of it is I don't want to hold people's hands for it. I mean, you either want to do it or you don't.
I would just simply recommend that we rename the thread Monday Night Practice to Friday Night Practice. I think that would turn a lot of heads.
It's not. It's not called that. It's assault training with Rush.
Okay, yeah, it's obvious to me that people are still not understanding that ACES thrives off of personal initiative, and that is what Rush is saying.
Yeah, I don't want
Now-
people there that want their hands held, pretty
Yep.
much.
I just told Rush to post it because I truly believe that most people here in ACES just ride the horse. They don't control it. They don't take the reins. They just ride. Now, most people that play video games do it as a time waster, a way to relax. That's cool. But nothing gets done unless people have a little bit of initiative. Go ahead, Camille.
Yeah, I think that's where a lot of the problems have come up because of the title we've been holding on to for so long, comp casual, which is not what we are. We are casuals who participate in competitive play but do not practice competitively. And that has obviously caused a lot of confusion amongst basically everyone.
It's caused confusion for newer players. Which goes back to the recruitment email, because that email is very old, and I mean, it's before CW was around.
Yeah, like Iron just said, and that's not just practice, that's everything. If you don't want to do it, then we're not going to make you.
Mm-hmm.
And ACES is going to continue to flounder around and not get anything done.
That's how I figured you've lasted for 3 years.
Well, for a lot of the...
Most units would not have made it that long unless they've done it the way that it's been done right now.
Well, for a lot of people here in channel, over half are not even familiar what ACES used to be like. ACES used to have required practice twice a week. If you did not show up, then it was recorded. And then we spoke to you. Why aren't you showing up to practice? Something wrong? Totally acceptable if real life is taking precedence, but yeah, it would be really great if we could get back on that train of casual competitive. We don't expect people to show up all the time and to be hard asses, but we do expect you to practice and show numbers.
I wouldn't mind being completely casual and just showing up and carrying people all day long, because I generally have fun doing it. Everyone I meet, I have a great time with. But then we have people who expect things from ACES that they don't really do much, and it hurts a lot of people.
Individually, every ACES member used to do a whole lot more. I'm not calling anybody out specifically, I'm calling out ACES as a whole. I'm guilty. Past month, I really haven't been here.
We rely way too much on the unit leaders, and it's quite obvious that the unit leaders are tired. They show up. You guys do what you want to do. You make these tournaments. You show up for them. We have fun. It gets ACES' name out there. But then you don't come up to show for just just to hang out. And I mean, I'm not. That's asking too much. Personally, I think it is. I think we've just grown too large.
Complicated subject.
It is, but it needed to be brought up.
Right.
Careful.
Yes. Be very
It is the
careful with
most
this.
important. Oh, I know.
I mean, you can go into that if you want to, but I wouldn't.
We're not going into that. Anybody else have another topic? Except, please.
Just a quick comment that training style in the assault training was amazing. I love that. I'd love to see more kinds of training in different weight classes in that same format.
Can you give a brief overview for those of us that haven't experienced it?
Rush.
Show up.
There you go.
I'm sorry to be kind of blunt about it, but I mean,
No,
bluntness is
it's
great.
Blunt
it's
is good and it's
training.
appreciated, but I'm looking for information on your training style so that I might be able to
It's
incorporate
assault
it into
training.
my
We're
own.
going through how to pilot an assault mech.
Show up.
I mean, last week, I'll tell you what we did last week. We went over brawling assaults and focused on torso movement of the mech in general, and brawling.
Okay.
That was it.
Rush, I have a question for you. On the forums, it says that practice starts after down 10 minutes after ceasefire PST, correct?
Correct. North American ceasefire.
Okay. That is like at like 3 o'clock in the morning for me. So there's no way that I can make that. Is there a way that we can move that to another time slot to where I can make it?
Well, it's there because most of the people that are have been showing up are playing CW, and I'm not gonna have them pick to practice or play CW. So, and I'm on the West Coast, and I simply can't do earlier because my work schedule is sun up to sundown.
Okay, fair enough. Is there a way that we can change the day, and say like on Saturday during the afternoon, say like 7 o'clock?
I work 7 days a week.
Yeah, there's
John, you work 7
it's
days
always
a
going to
week.
be bad for somebody. The times are always going to be off. But if you want assault training, we have other people that are more than willing to have some one-on-one time and play with you and talk about the sort of things that Rush is going to be talking about. Because practices, they're always going to be bad for somebody. It's really hard to schedule stuff like this because we're all over the nation, we're all over the world. It's just not gonna ever work out for everyone. But yeah, more than willing to help out if you need it.
Because I mean, that's the reason why I've been wanting to attend these training sessions. But again, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I know it sucks sometimes. They're always gonna be rough for someone just because scheduling stuff is always a bear.
Because I mean, when we had the normal practices and they were, the Mondays and Wednesdays, the 2 days we were doing it, I mean, it's like 5 o'clock in the evening Pacific, which is not a very good time for a lot of PST people. Because you're just usually getting off of work, and if you're, it's just a bad time of day.
Okay, so this is going back to personal initiative. Rush has taken it upon himself to run a practice, so it's on Rush's time. This practice will be ran when Rush has the time at the best time for Rush. Those that show up and can't show up, fine. If you can't, well, sorry.
Can we put it on the calendar next time?
Yes.
Okay, let's do a couple things real quick because I don't think everybody's keeping their ears in on some of the stuff. Rush has said that he wants people to show up that have read the thread. He doesn't want to put it on the calendar. Rush's Pacific time zone. He's going to run a Pacific time zone practice. There are other practices available. If you do not feel that those practices fit your time zones, Typhus has said repeatedly that initiative is widely and greatly held in respect in this unit. Either take it upon yourself or reach out to people you think are qualified, such as people that have been noted in this as vanguards or mavericks, to set up a time, offer them cookies, offer them brownies if you don't feel like you can do it themselves.
Exactly, Iron. If you want to do something, like let's just pick a name out of the hat. Man of Athens. If Man of Athens wants to start something like a light practice or a medium practice, and he's not so sure that he's going to do a good job, but he wants to do it, he can get help from people. Talk to unit leaders, talk to vanguards, talk to mavericks, talk to anybody in ACES for help. I'm sure you'll find somebody to help you out. Personal initiative. Please. I know everybody here in ACES, everybody here is good people. Everybody has something to add. I'm asking, please, if you have something to add, at it. Alright, well, we got another 10 minutes left in this all-hands meeting, so let's get one more topic. Anybody, except in chat. Pooh.
So how was everyone's day?
Jesus.
Sorry.
You knew that was coming.
Nope.
It's been so cold this last like 6 hours.
Okay.
We're not going to spend the last 10 minutes of the meeting doing that.
Yeah,
Is there anything pertinent?
Quiet
to anybody?
fish.
On a positive note, guys, if you want help from any of the unit leaders, ask us. We will more than be willing to step in and help you privately or in a small group to do so. All that is required is that you ask. I will go out of my way to try to work with you to help you on anything that you need. But the onus is on you. You have to take the initiative and ask.
Okay, so Destructive, what do you got?
Just in
Sounds like a
closing,
screaming
remember,
girlfriend.
it was, just 1 second. Guys, all of you guys, remember, unit leaders, you can go to them. They're here for you. If you don't want to go to them because something they're doing is bothering you, find a Vanguard. That's what we're here for. We can set up little one-on-one training deals. We can do all kinds of stuff. Don't hesitate to ask. If we got a V or a UL next to your name, we can get shit done.
I enjoy getting shit done.
Right. Okay, if there are no closing topics, let's go ahead and wrap this up, Cattra.
Alrighty, so with things being wrapped up, hopefully we will get a date hammered down for another one of these. We are going to try to have them more and more often. I think that's probably for the better of everything. I thank you everyone for taking time out of your day to showing up and listening to us ramble and talk about the unit and that sort of thing. So with that, I think it's safe to say this all hands meeting is closed. We'll take those suggestions and things like that, implement them to the best of our abilities, and try to keep everyone up to date on what we're doing. So again, thank you. You guys are really what make ACES ACES. We will continue to try working our best with everybody to try to make everybody feel the best. So with that, let's go blow up some mechs.